tell if I look 12 or 40. Hi neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John. It's time for a review of the third studio album, originally planned to be the third mixtape in a trilogy of mixtapes. It's Charli, kind of a self-titled album by the pop artist Charli Xcx. If you're thinking to yourself right now, didn't I see John say that he wasn't going to review this album? You're absolutely right, but guess what? Patrons have a new benefit over on patreon.com/ARTV. Sign up for just $1 per month. Not only will you get to help support both of my channels, but you also get voting rights to save one album each month that I did not review. For the month of September, I put up these options, and out of that, you had a close race, but you selected Oversleeping with Sirens, Charli by Charli Xcx. If you want voting rights for the next one, $1 is all it takes. Sign up at the top link in the description down below, and thank you for those of you who did save this album. Charli Xcx is an artist that I've had some complicated feelings on over the years. I was introduced to her music in the summer of 2014. The Needle Drop and I teamed up for a review of the self-titled Kitten album, and he name-dropped Charli Xcx in that review. I was intrigued. I went to check out her debut album, True Romance, and I became a fan. Sucker was a fantastic follow-up, still my favorite project from her to date. I know that some of the fans can't stand it, but I, being more of a rock guy, obviously up my alley. Her music took on a drastically different approach from that point on as she met A.G. Cook, the founder of PC Music, known for a very avant-garde bubblegum pop meets futuristic electronic sound. And I could appreciate the innovation, at least on a lot of the cuts that he was helping Charli put together, but also some of the tracks from Vroom Vroom and Pop 2, Number 1 Angel, absolutely abhorrent to me. I just did not get the appeal at all. So yes, that left me skeptical going into Charli, but I'm pleasantly surprised at the result. With this being a studio album instead of a mixtape, I know that Charli in the studio said that she made a conscious decision to actually make this an album. Instead of that, it does have more of a good flow to it, I suppose, a cohesiveness, a tightness about it, even though there are the wonky tracks that stick out like a sore thumb. If you can forgive some of those, this is a pretty tight project that blends together the first world, that being her electro-pop tendencies, a very catchy hook here and there, and definitely songs that get stapled into your brain, with the innovation of PC Music and obviously A.G. Cook producing. You're gonna hear symphonic elements pop up, there's a few guitars in the mix, there's some nice bass that does get dirty on some of these tracks, and I love that when it comes in, and it feels like it's got some real personality. The best parts about this album are, of course, Charli, because she does have that fierce attitude, but also there's a vulnerability to her as well, and that's something that I have cherished about some of her best songs in her back catalog, and there are plenty of those to go around on Charli. Gambling, as most of you probably know, is one of those things where you just go big or you go home with your tail tucked between your legs. And I feel that Charli took a risk on this album in a way, knowing that no, she's not going to be the biggest pop star out there, but also there is going to be crossover appeal, because this is a well-layered, multi-dimensional album that does have some very aggravating aspects, but she also knows the crowd that she's playing these songs to, and even though they don't work for me, they probably do go over quite well in a different setting. And also, there's the ones that do feel a little bit more vulnerable. They get inside of her head, and that's exactly what I want to hear from her. Whether that be the spunky attitude that we've gotten in the past, or something that opens up a bit more like White Mercedes, this album probably does have something for everyone. Overprocessing and overthinking does hurt this album in places. I feel that, like the collaborations, for example, maybe they're a bit overblown or overdone, or they don't quite fit together. The HAIM collab kind of outshines Charli on the track Warm, and then the collaboration with Lizzo, as I saw another publication note, it just kind of feels like, hey, we're on the same label, why don't we team up here for this song that doesn't really require both of us? And Lizzo on this track, she doesn't really add much at all, other than a little bit of extra sass that I'm sure some people would go crazy for, but it's not enough for me. It's not enough to sell me on the entire song, and this is a problem not just here, but on some of the other collaborations too. Alright, let me air some of my grievances first before we get to some of the best tracks that this album has to offer, because again, Blame It On Your Love, not a song that I would ever see myself coming back to. It keeps popping up in my head and I actively want to run away from it. The production just follows pretty much every beat that I would expect it to. It's very monotonous. The vocals don't do anything special here, and as I noted, the Lizzo collab didn't feel necessary. Charli tries to sound like something straight out of the SoundCloud trap world on the song Click, featuring Tommy Cash and Kim Petras. And this song is absolutely asinine, inconsequential, and insufferable to me. It's just so monotone in its delivery. It's not interesting to me. It's the same reason that I avoid much of that genre, and it feels that she leans too heavily into that and doesn't add really anything of her own to it. Unfortunately, after the really catchy song Official that adds in some nice strings, a little bit of piano that I'm hearing in the background, and a great vocal performance, we go out on 3 songs that close the album with just an underwhelming feeling, and in fact, kind of a hateful feeling at first. It starts with Shake That, featuring a lot of people, including CupcakKe, and I'm a pretty big CupcakKe fan, but she doesn't really get much time to shine here because there's so many people on the track. The hook on this, I shake it, I shake it, I shake it, it's so damn irritating. It's not just one of those songs that I can tune out. It's something that I actively have hatred for. February 2017 is alright enough for kind of an interlude-styled song, but it doesn't really make great use of its guests like Clairo, and also the foreign artists that I'm not familiar with there. And then we move into the second Troye Sivan collaboration of the album. In 1999, a great throwback jam. I know I complained last year about that Anne Marie song 2002 that over-glorified the nostalgia and just sang the hooks of other songs. 1999, it does make the references, but it's also a really catchy pop smash. However, 2099, it just feels a little bit one-noted and one-dimensional. It's trying to sound very futuristic, the title would imply that, but it feels like a letdown in comparison to the life-affirming 1999. Whew. Okay, we made it through some of that. We zipped through the songs that I consider the worst or else the most disappointing on the record. And we can get to the best now. The opening track, Next Level Charli, is fascinating to me. I cannot get the beat and the melody of this song out of my head. It's a great way to start this album. It just doesn't let down. It feels relentless in the best possible way. White Mercedes is so effective. It's gripping not only in terms of the way that it feels like there's a human element there that you can easily connect to, but also the singing style, the production on this track. It feels like it's a throwback, but also something new at the same time. It's definitely one of my favorite Charli Xcx tracks to date, alongside Gone, featuring Christine and the Queens. The latter of those is an impeccable tune that just has me hooked. I think Christine and the Queens has such a great energy here, and this solo artist has always been someone I've wanted to check out more. This song is absolutely making me want to do that. The way that their voices pair up and the production on this track, the catchiness, there's a true hook to this cut. I could see this landing among my best of the year. Gotta show some love to some of the more personal cuts here. Silver Cross is one that definitely gets in the feels just a bit as Charli opens up, and also Thoughts, just her kind of zooming around California, talking about things and airing it out. It's something that I would like to see more of from her in the future. These are the tracks that keep the album grounded. Closing out with one more song that I wanted to mention by name, it's the collaboration with fellow topless album cover star Sky Ferreira, and a song that definitely feels like it's growing on me more and more. The way that the synthesizers drop in on this one and shape up the soundscape, it almost feels like it should be played at a high school prom in the 1980s. So I like the fact that it does have the retro-leaning sound, but it's also able to add something new, and the hook is incredibly catchy. Charli Xcx definitely exceeded some of my expectations I had going in on her album Charli. This is a record that does feature some great singles, but also some thoughtful deep cuts and some bangers that outright slap you upside the face with how catchy and kind of demanding they can be. I like this album overall. I'm not quite feeling it as much as some people seem to be, but again, this is a lot more than I expected to get out of it. I'm giving this a strong 3.5 out of 5. I would love to know what you guys think. Join the conversation in the comments section down below, and don't forget, Join my Patreon if you want to vote for the next one that gets saved, because each month you get to save one album that I haven't reviewed. The only month that I won't be doing that is December due to year-end list stuff. I hope you guys understand there, but the link is in the description down below, or else in the annotation in the corner over there. There were a lot of options that I weighed out over there, and obviously I added a few that I thought about wanting to cover myself, but you guys voted for Charli, and I'm okay with that. The people have spoken. If you want to see another Charli Xcx review, then tap here. Another video here, socials in the description, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.